Our podcast is a part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,000 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Janika, and today we are going to be discussing The Bachelorette. The Men Tell Alls. We're just doing the one episode in this episode, and it's because the finale is probably going to be long, so we don't want to make sure that we're not, doing too crazy amount of time in one episode. So before we get into it, let's do some hot goss. So apparently this is 90 Day Fiance, in particular Single Life question mark, but there's been some rumors kind of floating around that Skyla, Angela Deem's daughter, is going to potentially be on the Single Life. I hope not, because I feel like this is a way to have her wiggle Angela in. None of us want to deal with this woman anymore. I don't particularly want to deal with this family at all anymore. It is right now still just a rumor, but I don't know, man. I don't know. But not much else to really say about that right now, but it's a weird rumor that I don't like that it's even circulating. Anyway, next piece of hot goss. Married at First Sight alum Amber Bowles is a mom. And I don't remember particularly who this person is, but maybe as we read, we can kind of figure it out. So, the former reality TV star who is 32 revealed exclusively to people that she and her husband Kevin, okay, I remember who she is, I'll explain, welcomed their first baby, their son, Keenan Brian Latu, on August 13th, 2024. Baby Keenan arrived weighing 5 pounds, 12 ounces, and measured 20.5 inches long at birth. She said, quote, "I was rushed to be induced because of severe preeclampsia, which was so scary. She is the season 9. She was on season 9, and she was the really little girl, really, really short one. She was like 5 feet, or I don't know. And she was with a really tall guy. I think he was a basketball player, I think he was a basketball player. He played like overseas. So that's who I do have pictures, so we'll post them. But yeah, she said she's glad that he is here and healthy. They initially announced that they were expecting their first baby together in Instagram posts on March 31st, sharing a picture of the two standing in a park while Kevin cradled Bull's belly. The new mom wrote, "Baby Latu, August 2024." And I guess it's on the gender. I didn't know she was married. Didn't know any of that, but we kind of get a little bit of backstory in case no one else really knows. So 2 months later, Bowles revealed on Instagram that the couple had tied the knot in a courthouse. So they weren't married at the time that they got pregnant, which doesn't matter. But anyways, it said, quote, "In 1 year, we traveled to Willington, Orlando, Maine, Grenada, Puerto Rico, Japan. Honestly, probably more places I'm forgetting. We got engaged and married at the courthouse. LOL." And she shared this on May 18th. She continued, "We moved in together and bought a house. We got a puppy. And the best of all, we are starting our family with our sweet baby boy coming in August. I just love you so much." And she tagged him in it. In November 2023, she announced her engagement to Kevin after 8 months of dating, confirming the news exclusively with People. So that's kind of the backstory on them. So that's basically that. Let's jump back over to 90 Day Universe. So some Redditors apparently kind of maybe figured out that Manuel is working. So They reacted to a Facebook post featuring Manuel doing a photo with a fan. According to the poster, they saw the 90 Day Fiancé star at Home Depot. Manuel then allegedly revealed that he was purchasing building materials for work. This indicates that he has finally received his work permit behind cameras, and many are happy for him, obviously. The reality TV personality didn't exactly share his job, but it's probably something to do with construction, which he did do back in Ecuador as well. So, and we have one more piece of hot goss since kind of the first one was a little bit quick. I have one more piece, so let's hop into it. This is Sister Wives related, and I think some of us really know about this, but for those who don't, Sister Wives star Cody and Robin are on the move, literally. The couple who have starred in this series, as we know, since 2010, have listed their 5-bedroom, 4-bath home in Flagstaff, Arizona for $1.65 million, according to a listing that went live on August 29th. Cody and Robin purchased the home back in 2019, which was about 1 year after relocating to Arizona from Las Vegas. They've lived there with their 2 biological children, as we know, Solomon, who's 12 now, and daughter Ariella, who's 8, as well as Robin's 3 other kids, Dayton, who's 24, geez, and daughters Aurora, 22, and Brianna, 19. This house, let's talk about the house. This house was built in 2007. It is a 4,476 square foot house, sits on a 2-acre lot, tucked away behind towering pines and offering unparalleled privacy and breathtaking views. The listing reads, the master bedroom includes an ensuite bathroom and walk-in closet, while the kitchen boasts a 6-burner wood cooktop and a double oven commercial size refrigerator / freezer and a walk-in pantry. Other perks include a game room, new roof, extra wide garage, and a partially covered deck with views of the Flagstaff Peaks. It is unclear how this alters Cody's plans to build 5 houses, which I don't understand why you would need 5 at this point, at nearby Cody Pass, which the family, as we know, purchased for, this I did not know, $820,000 back in 2018. They have yet to break ground there since buying this property because they still owe money on the land, as we also know. There are currently no active permits on the property, and this is according to In Touch. So that's that. They're moving, and yeah, good for them. But that's it for hot goss. Let's hop into the reason that we are here. So, The Bachelorette season 21, episode 9, The Men Tell All. Now, with this, we are also going to get the clips from the what happened with Devin and Jenn, and also the rose ceremony as well. So I did find that the actual men tell all portion of this was kind of lackluster. I know the main focus was going to be Sam M. Um, but I kind of wanted more out of this tell all. I feel like something was missing. And I think first of all, Austin wasn't there. We had Ricky there who was barely there. I don't know why Ricky was there. I understand Brett being there because he did become kind of a favorite, even though he wasn't there for very long. But I just feel like I needed more. I don't know if anyone else felt that. I just needed more. And like, I think it would have been great to see Austin there. I don't know why Austin wasn't there. Maybe it was a scheduling conflict. I'm not sure. But it would have been good to have Austin there because I really think it needed to be addressed. The whole situation of kind of Jenn making Austin leaving more about her than about him. And I really think that needed to be addressed. And with Austin not being there, I guess with that being said, it wasn't going to be addressed. No one in that room is going to, kind of make her feel bad for making it about her. No one's going to do that. And I don't necessarily think it needs to be making her feel bad about it. I think it's to educate her in that moment where it wasn't about you in this moment. It's nothing you're doing wrong. It's just how Austin felt. So I don't know. I think I needed that kind of holding her somewhat accountable to that reaction. Um, I mean, maybe it's more testament to the men, really, that there isn't this huge, these dramas to talk about. Obviously, with Devin not being there either, we don't have that. Like, it's very different than last season because Maria was already gone at that point. So we were able to have this back and forth thing between Maria and Leia. That was her name, right? And Cindy. We were able to have that. We're here, we're not really able to have that because Devin's still a part of this. So I don't know, maybe it was because of that. That being the reason why it was a little lackluster for me. But again, it could also just be kind of a testament to these men for the most part, with Sam, Aaron kind of, not included in that, because I don't think Aaron came out very great in this season. I think I just want a little more, I guess. But let's get into it. So before we kind of get into the actual tell-all itself, we got a video of Grant to kind of telling his mom that, guess what, Mom, I made it, and he's gonna be the next Bachelor. She sounds nice, so I guess we'll meet her next season. Well, then we are in the studio now with Jesse, and all the men are here. We have everybody pretty much, except for, like I mentioned already, Austin. And with the addition of two people that really weren't part of the show, kind of, well, let's say Ricky, more so than anything, because I totally understand Brett being here. But again, Brett didn't have much to really contribute. He's really there because people like him. And he didn't have much to contribute, though, because he wasn't there. But yeah, so at one point everyone was kind of doing the Jerry, but it's a Jesse. So yeah. Sam N, if anyone else noticed, had a jersey. Then instead of reading Jen's husband, it said Jen's ex-husband. Okay, at least we can laugh at it, I guess. So we are headed back to Hawaii to kind of see what's going to be happening now with Devin. And we kind of see him knocking on the door, kind of where we left off. And she looks absolutely excited to see him in this moment, which, I wouldn't expect anything less from her. But he tells her that he's here to talk. And she's like, oh. And she can tell, like, there's something wrong. And he tells her, so he's kind of in a weird place at space, and he is kind of doubting where his head is at, or where her head is at. And he's like, I should have brought this up during the overnights, but he just didn't want to pressure her into anything. He feels that he is kind of the safe option, which is very interesting because I actually would disagree. And obviously he's not going to know the other dynamics with the other men, but I would actually disagree that he's a safe option. Now, I think for the average person who isn't Jenn, who maybe hasn't dealt with the traumas that Jenn has dealt with, would maybe agree he's the quote unquote safe option, which there's nothing wrong with the safe option. I think the safe option is the way a lot of us should go. It's not to say that there's not going to be these excitements in life, but you're the person that I at least know wants all of the things that I do, right? But I think for Jenn, the safe option isn't Devin, isn't the obvious quote unquote choice, right? It's Marcus. Marcus is the safe choice for her because Marcus is familiar in the sense of, now, again, I want to always keep stressing this. This is not to say that something is wrong with Marcus, that he's a bad guy, any of that. Not at all. He's not a bad guy. He's an amazing guy. And he's been through a lot in life. But because he isn't quite there in the same way Devin or Jonathan is, he's not the one for her. He isn't the right one for her right now. Maybe in time it could have worked, but right now, not the one, right? And this show is supposed to be someone getting engaged at the end. And that is not him, right? But for her, it's so confusing because I'm trying to make sure I'm making this make sense because it doesn't make sense in my head. But for her, that is the safe choice because he's the one that's out of touch. He's the one that's harder to get through. He's the one that's not giving her what she says she wants and says she deserves, but is the thing that's familiar. So it's weird, but it's like the wrong choice is the safe choice for her. And yeah, because she's doubting or doubting her feelings for him, I think. I think she has them, and she does say she has them in this moment. We'll get to that in a minute. But she's scared to feel it, I think. So that makes him not the safe option. Anyway, he says that he doesn't feel wanted and that he wants to get to the end, but doesn't know how. And he said, proposals are next week, and I don't know where your head is at, and that scares me. She says, expressing her feelings is not an easy thing for her. Very interesting, which I totally understand. But she gets on Jonathan for doing the exact same. Yet she herself doesn't know how to express in a way that she should be. Interesting. Anyway, she says that I don't know how to be in a healthy relationship, and that's very true. She's like, I want to be able to do that for you, every week. So, because, she doesn't want to lose him. And she questions how, you know, she didn't see it, I think that's what I wrote. And she's like, something wrong with, or says she questions how she didn't see like how he's feeling. And is something wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with you. He has to express that. He has to communicate that to you. You're not a mind reader. But she doesn't know what or she said I think she wants to be together with him. Anyway, she then says that I do love you, you freaking idiot. I love you. And he says I love you too. And when they're leaving, they do the I love yous again. So it's like it's not hard to say you love him then. Because you did it in this moment when your ass was put to the fire, you're able to do it. I was still questioning, honestly. But yeah, he seems happy with that, and she's happy, and they're fine. He's still here. So yeah, that's great. So now we are going to be adding one more guy to the mix here because we are going to be doing the rose ceremony. We're about to be figuring out who she is giving her 2 roses to. And I loved her dress. This was a beautiful dress that she was wearing. But she hands out the roses to Devin and Marcus. So Jonathan is leaving. And they sit and they talk before he leaves. And he's like, I guess being a slow burn was my fault. And he thought that he did find the clarity that he kind of needed the day before, kind of while he was sitting on the beach. And he's like, I realized, but I guess it was kind of too late. And, he's like, I think, you were perfect for me, but I wasn't maybe perfect for you. Then he's in the car and he says he's just tired of, being on his own. So we have Jonathan here now, and yeah, and that's why it's basically that we have him on stage, and we're kind of gonna starting to get into the actual tell-all at this point. But I am gonna take a break here. I know it's kind of soon to be taking a break, but I am kind of recording this last little bit here, kind of pretty late here, and doing that after just recording an episode for next take. So we're gonna take a break here. I think this is the place that makes the most sense. And when we come back, we will jump back in with the actual tell-all part with that. So yeah, so we'll be back and we'll jump in with the tell-all proper when we come back. And I am back. So let's talk the rest of this episode. So yeah, so we have Jonathan out, like we mentioned before, but we're gonna be talking to Brett first. So Brett is very loved in the Bachelor Nation universe, which I love. He's gotten some interesting DMs, some nice ones, but also some interesting ones. Like, you are such a stud, you're so hot. So those are nice ones. But apparently, someone also said that they would be open with not only him with their heart, but also with their mouth, and I'm guessing their legs or something like that. Wow, guys, wow. And, who knows, I think they said whether or not they know if he does like feet pics or something like that. And, no, he hasn't partaken, if that's a word, in feet pics. So now we're gonna move on over to Aaron. This is maybe a little more interesting. So, um, they kind of ask him about like why he felt he needed to or should have said anything to Jen on his way out about someone not necessarily being here for the right reasons. And he says, well, I thought we kind of had a friendship. Where where was your friendship with her? Because I personally missed it. And he's like, I wanted to, I guess with that, he kind of felt comfortable to say anything to her. And in case y'all were wondering, he was talking about Devin, but he was also talking about Sam N, which is interesting. Now, I need to remember the timeline. Didn't he leave prior to the rugby game? Because where then would you have, like, what would have happened that would have made you think Sam N? You know what I mean? I can understand him saying Sam N after the rugby date because that wasn't a very good look on him. But I mean, it may have also been after the Thunder Down Under, but that's not enough to say that people aren't ready. You know, I do doubt his feelings for her, sure, but I don't know what that wasn't enough. And obviously, like with Devin, we get that because they weren't getting along. But again, I think this was actually really greatly done. We're gonna get to it. So, and then he also throws in Spencer into the mix. So yeah, he also says Spencer, and Hakeem is like, what? What? Like, where are you getting this from? Sir, where are you getting this from? Where in what universe are you getting this from? So here's where he's getting this from. He's getting this from the fact that Spencer was in a tumultuous situation with his ex, and I guess he just thought he wasn't over it. Sir, weren't you also a year out from your divorce? Am I supposed to trust that you're over it? You know what I mean? Like, who are you to judge people's journeys? And, like, okay, for those who watch Plathville, like I do watch Plathville. I obviously don't talk about Plathville just because I gotta have something for me. But for those who watch Plathville, Olivia said it the best. Everyone's journey post divorce is different. Some people move a little faster, some people move a little slower. There is no right answer as to how quickly someone moves. moves, right? After divorce. So who are you to judge how quickly someone should move post divorce? That's not up to you, sir. Because, like, it's not, oh man, he pissed me off. He really did, more so than ever. But yeah, so it basically says like it takes a lot for someone to heal from a relationship. I didn't think you were ready. And Spencer just comes for him hard. And he's like, who are you? Kind of situation. And he's like, um, how do you know like like where I was at? And he's like, you know what? I'm also gonna defend Devin. I think it was him or Jeremy. It might have been Jeremy, who said, I want to defend Devin here. Um, was it Jeremy? Hold on, let's just continue here. He says, you know, you're pretty much kind of not only saying what people wanted, but also Jen. And he's like, saying that Devin isn't the one for her. How would you know? You don't know what's right for her. She knows what's right for her. And Aaron, you need to go back and maybe reread that book you gave to Devin. And that's exactly it. Aaron, Noah bugged the hell out of me in his season. He seemed to have bounced back in Bachelor in Paradise, but he really did bug me in his season. I can't remember whose season he was on, but I remember him bugging the heck out of me in his season. Aaron is worse. Aaron is worse because it's like Noah bothered me because he felt like a little kid trying this on for size. Like I don't know if he was fully emotionally ready for it, but he found his person and it worked for him. And eventually, not right away, but eventually. And with Aaron, it feels different. Aaron feels like an egotistical asshole, and that feels worse. Noah didn't seem harmless, although annoying. Aaron feels like he can be a little harmful to your mind. So he bugs me more. And he seems to think that he does nothing wrong. And he's to kind of talk about the book, he kind of says, he gave it to Devin to kind of help him realize like how he was coming off. So basically, you got him a book to basically make him quote unquote stop doing what he's doing because he's doing what you're not, is basically it. So I do think you need to reread that book because you're threatened by someone who clearly seems to be leaving an impression on Jenn, clearly, because he's still there, you're not. Now, you chose to leave, but she would have made you go home anyways at some point. You were never going to get this far. So, yeah, it's interesting that he's saying that, but it's more about you. It's funny because the people who were the most threatened by Devin are the ones that knew they weren't doing enough. And that's Aaron, Thomas, and Sam. It's you three. You're the three who seem to have the issues with Devin because he was doing what you wouldn't and couldn't, you know? And that bugged you, made you big mad. So, and then Spencer's like, I'm sorry, but are you a psychologist? So Noah kind of comes in at this point and he kind of, I don't remember this. I vaguely remember this, but apparently he did get a book from someone as well. I kind of do remember this. I think it was that guy who was from Harvard or something, and he was a little bit of an ass himself, but he figured he was kind of better than everybody because he was Harvard. So I do vaguely remember this. And he did get a book from that same guy. And he kind of explains to him, he's like, listen to Aaron and says, um, it wasn't really a good look on you to give him a book because for him, it didn't feel very good being on the receiving end of that because it made him feel like he wasn't good enough in comparison to that guy. And that's literally what Aaron's doing. Aaron is literally giving this air of I'm better than you, so here's a book that's gonna better you. That's that is Aaron is the bad guy in the situation, right? And he says, I don't think it's as Noah says, it's like I don't think it's up to anyone to say when someone is ready for this or not. That's not up to you. And I really hope Aaron listens to this. After all, that's his womb mate. I hope he really does listen to Noah. Um, because that's it's very insightful of him. And I hope he hears it because that's just not up to you. People are on this show. Some may be here for the right reasons, some may not be here for the right reasons. But that is not for you to suss out. That is for Jenn to suss out. And if she doesn't, then she doesn't. Like, it's not up to you. Yes, it's partly your journey, but mainly it's hers. So, yeah, let her do her thing. So, Sam N is up next. So you telling her that you loved her, what about that? And he said that he took the time to express how he felt. Maybe he jumped the gun, but, love isn't linear, he says. I would like to know how you know that, sir. Because have you felt love since? Like, I'm confused. But anyways, I don't think he loved her. I highly doubt that. Sorry. The other Sam, you had issues with Devin. We're not talking about the other Sam. Why? And Thomas jumps in here at this point and says, Austin, he never got like a single second with Jenn. And I took offense to that. Why? Why did you take offense to another man not getting time? You're so concerned about the other men getting time, yet you yourself aren't worrying about whether or not you're getting time. Every man for himself. Thomas didn't get that memo. On that note, though, that's up to Austin to ensure he's getting his time. And I really personally feel Austin didn't take enough initiative to make sure he was getting enough time with her. But, like, I don't know. I think, like, Thomas is way too much of a people pleaser. Or, yeah, this, this isn't, this isn't the atmosphere to make sure everyone's getting time. This is the atmosphere to make sure you're getting time. Devin got that memo. So, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, people are kind of like, well, actually, Ricky, who does kind of insert himself a little bit in here, which I think that's the least you can do. And Ricky's like, why though? He's like, in the real world, that is not how it works. You like someone, you go after that person, whether that person has other people talking to her. Um, so like, what? Men are going to, or just people in general, are going to do what they're going to do. Man up and go talk to her. Agreed. And I said that. I mean, the man up part didn't have to be said, but I already said that. I said the same thing. Sorry, not Jeremy. Austin should have taken the initiative, and he didn't. Jeremy, this is where he defends Devin. He says, like, I feel like I really need to because he isn't here to defend himself. He said he's not going to just not talk to her. Would any of you just not talk to her because poor Austin didn't get any time? No. And he's like, I think Devin was keeping I don't know, the main thing. A lot of digs were dug at Sam. It was great. And he says, he's going to keep the main thing. I'm like, these two. And he's pointing to Sam, M, and Thomas. And because don't y'all worry, I mean, Tomas didn't have anything to say, but he was there. So Brian says he sounds like, oh man, I can't read my handwriting. Did I write Marine? Because that doesn't make no sense. I don't know what I wrote, but Brian said something, and I'm so sorry that I didn't read my handwriting here to say what you said, but it was good, whatever it was. Jesse asks, did Sam keep the main thing the main thing? Yeah, sure, if it was Devin. Thank you. Because again, that's exactly it. Keeping the main thing, blah, blah, blah. It's like every second, every opportunity that Sam M had to talk about Devin, he did. It was, I was actually starting to wonder if you had a crush on Devin because, whoa, my guy, you constantly talked about him. It never quit. So, exactly. Sam M is, it's like Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls. And, well, yeah, it's likely kind of constantly saying how they don't like Regina George. If she doesn't like Regina George, yeah, she constantly talks about Regina. Exactly. That is exactly it. It was a perfect analogy. So they're like, he sees the areas, maybe where he could have done things a little differently, he says. And he said that he did have strong feelings for her. No, that you didn't, because you literally said like, oh, there's, some of the traits you have, there, other people have the same traits. I kind of thought like it was going to be Daisy or Maria here. Wasn't expecting you to be here, but you couldn't even say one thing that you liked about her or that you loved about her, even though you're proclaiming that you loved her. No, you didn't. You're out here literally laughing at her pain prior to her jumping off of the building, you know? Like, no, you didn't. Make it make sense. But he's like, I've never been put in a position to explain why I love someone before. Never? Ever? Really? Like I think even I've asked my boyfriend a couple of questions why he's even done it to me. Like, it's not a constant thing. And usually it doesn't happen within weeks after meeting somebody, but you are going to be put on the spot. Of course. So they say, did you really love her? And he says, absolutely. No, you didn't. Brian says that he's a fuckboy. Absolutely, he's a fuckboy. He is a fuckboy. Say it again. Like, he's a player. This guy is trying to get his minute of fame so he can end up on VIP. That is all. Hakeem is like, I'm going to hold you accountable. You had no reason for loving her. Like, you had none. Again, we all watched it. He had nothing he could say. And Spencer is like, you called her dull. How can you explain that you love someone, yet you called her dull? Very good point. He's like, okay, let me explain. He says like, it was about the eyes. Every time she would come in, talk to him, whatever, like her eyes would always be like, so excited and just, right? But then when she came in that day to come talk to me, like her energy was just down. Her eyes were just dull. How is that any better? How is saying her eyes were dull was any better? You're still saying she was dull. I This guy is an idiot. Really and truly. Jeremy is like, I don't know, man. I think he's like, I don't know where his eyes were. Leon Maria or Daisy. Yikes. I love it though. Let's bring it back. Call back. He's like, I'm happy you brought that up. So let me explain. This is always me wants to do. Let me explain. He's like, if anyone says that they weren't thinking that the next Bachelorette was going to be Maria or Daisy. You're all liars. Now, in fairness, Maria turned it down. Okay, in fairness. And I think where Bachelor Nation was concerned, we all thought it was going to be Maria. But it was fucking announced, you guys. It was announced. We were all there after the final rose when it was announced that it was going to be, Jenn. We were all there. Like, I'm so confused. And Daisy legitimately said she wanted nothing to do with being the next Bachelorette. So what are you talking about? Really and truly, what are you talking about? Now, I know there's not as long of a time between us knowing who it is versus who the next person is. I get it. But really, it, it just seems like an excuse to me that he just wasn't paying attention. But he's like, I did tell my family though that I couldn't see it with either of them. Yet you literally said to Jenn on your last group date with her that you thought the next Bachelorette was going to be either Daisy or Maria because that is usually the type you go for, not Jenn. Like, I'm sorry. To me, I mean, I don't want to play that card, that race card, but to me, it's basically making me think he wouldn't necessarily date an Asian girl, that he would date a Daisy, especially a Daisy, more so than even a Maria or a Jenn. That's what it felt like to me when he said that. So for him to turn around and say, oh, I wouldn't have been with either of them, it's like, what? Ugh, this guy. Anyway, and he says, okay, so then why did you come on then? Because you literally said that you thought it was going to be either Maria or Daisy. And then it wasn't. But now you're trying to say, well, I wouldn't have worked out with them anyway. What? That is such a narcissistic thing to say. Well, yeah, I mean, I said, like, I thought it would be them, but then it wasn't them, so you wouldn't have worked out with them anyways. Yeah, you're right. Daisy, I don't want him anywhere near Daisy. Sweet, sweet Daisy. But Maria, because the chances of it being Maria was much greater than Daisy. Maria, she would chew you up and spit you out. And if she didn't, her dad would have a mafia hit on you. And I would have loved it. Anyway. He's like, it was just my delivery. Okay. Well, your delivery sucks, sir. But anyways. So yeah. Forgot to mention that Sam was actually on the hot seat the entire time, but he's done now. So we have Jonathan now going to be going on the hot seat. So not really much to say really here, but he says that, it was kind of obviously watching this back. He said like it didn't work out for them, but kind of watching the other guys' journeys, he's like it wouldn't have gotten, I guess, there with them in the same way. But Jesse's like, you're still single, right? Because we have this beach, this little beach that we have that's opening up in the summer. We're going to extend the first invitation out to you. Do you want to come? And he's like, see you there. So we have the first, I guess, confirmed person who's going to be going on to BIP next year. But then we have Grant coming out now, and he says he's excited for being the next Bachelor. And they say, Jesse says to him, once you were announced that you were the Bachelor, we have 100,000 applicants and growing. I see you. If I was single. But Jesse says, get used to showering on camera because we like to do that here, apparently. But yeah, that's basically it. And then he kind of just joins the guys now. And yeah. But Jen's coming out now. This is going to be fun. for when she addresses Sam. Jonathan thanks her for, thanks her, I guess, is for everything. Sam N, first girlfriend, first breakup. How does that feel? And, something about the drama. I can't quite see or read what I'm reading. One second, y'all. I need to turn on some light into the subjects to make sure that I'm actually catching everything. So, yeah, then we move on to Thomas pulling Devin aside. And Jenn says, it was frustrating. You should have pulled me aside instead of him. Maybe if you focused on things with me, things could have also gone very differently for you. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. This dummy didn't get the memo. He's like, yeah, maybe I should have pulled you aside and dealt with Devin later. Or maybe you could have just left it alone. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Sam M now. Um, what about those red flags? And she's like, there were a few. Um, that I was adding up, then why did he go so far? I'm confused. Like, I feel like she's trying to rewrite history. Like, there were red flags throughout the entire thing. Us as a viewer could see that. But she didn't see all of that. She did not realize the red flags were there, as far as we know, until, well, I guess her technically the one-on-one, but you gave him the rose. So you ignored the red flags. Anyway. And she says like he didn't know me, as well. And she's like, hi Sam. And he's like, or I think she says, I'm going to say this in a way you understand. I'm gonna keep the main thing the main thing. Another hit. I love it. She's like, I want, or she said, I think I wasn't upset you couldn't express love. I was upset how you treated these other men. And then as it comes like to the relationship, it was always about you. And she's like, you watch that back and you're still kind of, doubling down on what you said. You also have your family defending your honor. You're a grown ass man. Like, own it. And she's like, person that you were in that experience is the exact same person that we saw on that screen. You are who you are. You weren't any different. And I love that she said that. And she's like, if you don't grow and take accountability, I feel bad for whoever comes along next. Me too. And I don't think there's really anything anyone is saying here that is going to change his opinion on him. I think he's perfectly fine with who he is, personally. So then we talk about being the first Asian bachelorette and kind of what that meant for her. Which we've had kind of heard her talk about before, never seeing an Asian lead role in television and always being the supporting role or the comedy role or anything like that, which I really feel like this was great seeing this throughout the reality TV stance of things. But I feel like we really started kicking down doors with movies like Crazy Rich Asians. I really feel like that really kicked down the door of not only can an Asian person be in a supporting role and be the quote unquote funny role, you can also have them be the heart of that movie. They can, I think like that really started to kick down doors. Again, I'm just coming from my perspective. I can't speak on what the Asian community feels, but I think it really started to kick down some doors personally. But ABC also gave a trip to Greece for Charity and Dawn, because apparently they went to Greece before and it ended terribly for because Dawn got sick. Then we have the bloopers, which is my favorite time of the tell-alls. It was funny, good bloopers. And then we watch Hakeem and the Spider, the new segment of Hakeem and the Spider, because we're doing this all over again. This time was a different spider. They say it's the biggest spider in the world. It looked like a tarantula, but he was having his freak out, and as he did before, but he handled it. And I said, this is to prepare you for this little beach that we have as well. And we're going to extend now the second invitation to you. And Hakeem will be the next person who's going to be on VIP. So we'll see him there. Then we get the sneak peek for the finale, which I'm obviously not going to go through because the finale has already happened. But we'll be talking about that next. So that'll be the next episode that you get is for the finale of Bachelorette, and then we are definitely heading right back into 90-day universe. We're behind. We need to get those done. And yeah, now you might get a Selling Sunset, maybe, but it just depends. Only because of what I can access at work, because unfortunately I don't have any Wi-Fi at work at the moment. So you might potentially get a Selling Sunset early, but we'll see, because again, I always do 3 to an episode usually. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, that's basically it. The only other thing that I want to mention, because I remember it now and I probably won't remember it later, is Jenn is going to be a contestant on Dancing with the Stars. So that will be interesting. For those who still watch it, I personally don't, and I really don't, because I heard Anna Delvey is going to be on, and I don't understand why we are promoting a criminal, and so I'm not about it. So yeah, yeah. So that's what's coming. So congrats to her though for being on it. I hope she does well. Um, but yeah, that's basically it for this episode. Again, maybe have a Selling Sunset coming up next. If not, you will have Bachelorette next, and then we will get back into the TLC universe, I should say, because we also have Forbidden Love to finish. Um, we might do that next. We'll see. Because that's finishing this, as I record, it's finishing today. So we'll see. But that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps, every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And Don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.